The Ballad of Buster Scruggs consists of 6 short stories. They are devoted to death, how it comes and how people behave at that moment. Sometimes the death appears in person and does its work quickly. We can see that in the first and the last stories. Sometimes death plays with the victim approaching and moving away, as in the stories Near Elgidowns and The Girl Who Got Rattled. Death can also entrust its work to others, as in the story Meal Ticket, or conversely to punish those who arbitrarily assumed its functions, as in the story Old Gold Canyon. But now we are going to talk only about the last story, Mortal Remains. This is the most mysterious and ominous story. A stagecoach rushes through deserted spaces, stopping nowhere. There are 5 passengers inside and 1 on the roof. He is dead. Their destination is Fort Morgan. The company is unusual, although everyone looks decent. Their oddities only appear in conversations. In the backseat are 3 persons, a trapper in fur with a grey beard, Renee the Frenchman, and a lady between them, Mrs. Betjeman. In the front seat opposite are Clarence the Irishman and Sibgen the Englishman. Clarence is bigger and older, and Sibgen is smaller and younger. They are also decently dressed and have good manners, but we feel that they hide something. Sibgen sings a song that causes a noticeable discomfort to the rear passengers. Finally he finished and the road conversation begins. The first is the trapper who tells a long and florid story about his life in the mountains with an Indian woman. He tries to share his life observations. According to him, all people are similar to each other and animals are similar to people. Mrs. Betjeman doesn't agree with this point of view. She shames him for ignorance and cites the example of her husband, a famous expert in improving of moral qualities. The lady tells that they spent last 3 years apart because he was ill and had to spend time in the East. She lived with her daughter and son-in-law. Now she is going to reunite with her husband. This is the first hint about complicated circumstances. Her husband was sick, but the lady doesn't say whether he recovered. And now she goes to him. Where? Earlier, the trapper told her that he had lived for several years with an Indian woman. They didn't understand each other's languages, but got along well, picking up the intonations of their voices. And then she suddenly left him. Why? Did she leave him, or he left her for a false reason? Renee says it's good that the lady is going to her husband because she was a burden to her daughter's family. Mrs. Betjeman indignantly objects that she was loved, but the Frenchman doesn't believe it. He says that everyone has his own life and others only create inconvenience in it. Renee adds that the husband probably stopped loving her and maybe not loved before. Everything could change for 3 years. The lady has a nervous breakdown. She hits Renee on the head with the Bible and then clutches her heart. Renee leans out of the window and demands the coachman to stop. But the coachman doesn't turn his head and continues to whip the galloping horses. Looking at this, Sigmund says that the coachman wouldn't stop. He is forbidden to do this. This is another strange sin. Why is it prohibited? Who banned it? What if suddenly someone needs to get out for any reason? However, no one asks such questions. No one talks about the paid money. No one demands to be treated with respect. It means they have no rights here. Then who are they? To defuse the situation, Clarence sings a song. At first he tells about having fun with beauties, and then about coffin and funeral. It is also symbolic. Feeling emotional, Sibgen cutesy cries. He says that Clarence always brings him to tears with the song. Mrs. Betjeman, however, calms down. By this time, we already know that Renee is a card player, apparently a professional one. Recently he had a conflict with his regular poker partner. Perhaps it was because of him that he ended up on this gloomy stagecoach. Then it comes Sibgen and Clarence's turn to talk about them. They are forced to do this by the other passengers who are wondering whose corpse is on the roof. Sibgen vaguely answers, naming them Reapers. He says they collect the souls of those who are ready. The others guess that they are bounty hunters. And the Englishman agrees, yes it is, although it sounds rude. However, something fishy is here. It is unlikely that the victim of real bounty hunters can be called ready-made. Buster Scruggs, for example, from the first story, certainly didn't intend to die. So, these two are personification of death. Sigmund, who distracts the victim with conversations, resembles a small malicious demon. And the thug Clarence, who suddenly kills her, resembles a larger demon subordinate to him. What happens next only confirms this assumption. The stagecoach arrives at the supposed fort, which looks like an extinct town. It stops at the large hotel. No one meets them and there is no one around. The Reapers drag the corpse of their victim inside. The rest must go in by themselves. Renee, the lady, and the trapper freeze in fear. After quite a long hesitation, they enter. The stagecoach leaves without unloading the luggage. That means they no longer need their suitcases. Thus, the overall picture becomes clear. They are the souls of the dead people who haven't understood yet what happened to them. But here they begin to guess. The coachman is Charon and the stagecoach is his boat. That's why there were no stops along the way. Charon doesn't do them. His passengers don't need them anymore. Sibgon and Clarence are demons who drag the wanted criminal right to hell. As for the rest, it is not clear yet where they will end up. Probably the trapper died while hunting, or he was poisoned by his Indian woman. Rene, if he was a card shopper, could be killed in a showdown between gamblers. Mrs. Batchman apparently died by natural causes. If we interpret the story this way, then all the threads will come together. That's why the town looks extinct, as this is a kingdom of dead. The mortal remains are all of them. Thanks to everyone who watched this video. See you. Bye bye.